tag your mom on your store, bags of pork, you're a dork. Pork. I tag your mom on your store, bags of pork, you're a dork. Pork. I tag your mom on your store, bags of pork, you're a dork. Pork. I tag your mom on your store, bags of pork, you're a dork. Pork. I tag your mom on your store, bags of pork, you're a dork.
No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand for pork. Tweets aren't pork. We vote with our pork here. No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand for pork. Tweets aren't pork. We vote with our pork here. We vote with our pork here. No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand for pork. Tweets aren't pork. We vote with our pork here. No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand for pork. Tweets aren't pork. We vote with our pork here. No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand for pork. Tweets aren't pork. We vote with our pork here. I see them hoes out, cheese up, filling all bags on my feet up. Hoes down, cheese up, filling on my bag, yeah. I see them hoes down, cheese up, filling on my bags on my feet up. Hoes down, cheese up, filling on my bag, yeah. I see them hoes down, cheese up, filling on my bags on my feet up. Hoes down, cheese up, filling on my bag, yeah. I see them hoes down, cheese up, filling on my bag, yeah.
Saw you out there grazing on some grass, couldn't help but notice that gorgeous ass, that tail flip so seductive.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Have a Take with Chair and Lake. I am Chair. Alongside me is my co-host, Lake. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello, Chair. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you all for having a seat at Chair's table. I'm here to prop you up. So is Lake.
Yeah.
What a wild week in the world we have lived through, sir. What's up with you? How are things? What is on your mind at the moment?
Well, as we were discussing backstage, personally, there was a lot of turmoil in my day to day, but I won't bother our wonderful, beautiful audience with that. But even internationally, it's just been exhausting. We have Israel-Iran. We have no Kings protests and counter protests. We're in California, so that's been a dominant theme. More where you're from, but also here. We have like a Newsom Trump thing going on, and it just seems like
you win some, you knew some.
Oh yeah. Well, I think
as you say.
I think he did I think he did win some a little bit. But I think just personally, I think Trump, he likes the fight, but he's kind of giving a platform to his most like worthy competitor right now on the opposite aisle. So it might be a strategic mistake there, but he will do what he does. And by the time we kind of get like a hold of something and we kind of figure it out, something new pops up, something to forget. And, Trump and politicians in general are the masters of distraction. So, whereas there's smoke, this time there's fire, but sometimes it is smoke and mirrors. And we are going to cut through all of that. And because there are things going on that are not being covered. And a lot of that has to do with the exchange of monies.
Yes, things are changing rapidly on that front as they are geopolitically. Isn't it interesting that Trump is perfectly setting up the next, let's say, shoe-in into office, and how, like, if he paid him no creed and no mind, then he wouldn't be getting the shine that is necessary to set him up for the next run. And is he playing into the game, or is that the script all along every time?
No, I think he hates California, and he thinks that his people hate California, and it's a good foil. But and I think he just assumes that he can outplay or outbully. But Newsom, he had a recall. He beat that. He was the San Francisco mayor. He took some really bold steps. He legalized gay marriage. Was the first mayor to do so, and that was very controversial, and he did it anyway. He was married to Kimberly Guilfoyle, who's dating Donald Trump Jr.
Ooh.
Kimberly Guilfoyle, who's now dating Donald Trump Jr. So he survived that. And he's battle tested. He's kind of old now. He's not so young. So he's kind of a little grandpa, had enough of this bullshit. And this is his moment. He's been waiting for a long time. He's been patient. And but yeah, I think Trump doesn't want to get into it with Newsom. He wants to get into it with California. And, but he is the governor, so he is going to battle him. But yeah, I don't think I think he just wants to, deport immigrants. I think that's all he cares about.
When you ascend to a certain level, you start having beef with actual physical geographic locations.
Oh yeah.
Anymore. Yeah. I wish everyone the best.
Yeah.
First and foremost. And I look forward to
some of those protesters. As much as I appreciate protests and I don't agree with how ICE is behaving, I mean, some of them, I'm not always upset when I see them getting rocked a bit. I mean, I'm not a fan of
deported.
No, the protesters, not the immigrants. The protesters getting a little rocked. Some of them piss me off. So I'm not one side or the other, but it's just the whole thing is exhausting. And being from California.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the social unrest aspect of it, and the timing of how things are unfolding, alongside the greater geopolitical unrest. Also, things are moving at such a rapid pace. Like I was thinking, as I often do,
Hmm.
uh, or as I sometimes do, rather. I was thinking, just the hyper normalization of everything,
Yeah.
and it's beyond cliche to say 24-hour news cycle, but so there's a better term for it.
Yeah.
Like very significant happenings are so quickly forgotten. I don't know, guilty of it is maybe not the right word, but it's a symptom of
Oh, definitely. I
being
mean,
plugged in.
and that was Trump. Trump was a master of playing the news cycle, except now he's kind of destroyed news. I mean, no one watches the news anymore. And so by manipulating in such a way, he kind of burned to the ground his biggest asset. And so, like, you know, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, they're all pro-Trump now. Like, CNN is like platforming him, and no one watches CNN with good reason. So anyway, yeah, but actually, your hypernormalization, I think, is key, and I've been thinking about that and how, like, it's like evolutionary. It's a survival tactic to hypernormalize your surroundings to live and stay sane. But like, then you start hypernormalizing the insane, and then you go really fucking nuts. And I think that's what's happening countrywide.
Probably globally.
Yeah, globally.
It's very. I would assume. I don't know. I've traveled a fair amount over the past few years, like even internationally, and
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's interesting. Like there is a. I think this is a perfect point to maybe to get into it. That I didn't think I would live to see the day where the United States would have a military parade. Probably because I'm a spoiled United States citizen, and maybe
well,
in my lifetime, I don't think we've ever
and not
had
only
one.
that,
Do
like,
you remember one?
I mean, not for to celebrate the president's birthday, like a dear leader. I think maybe like, you know, we're having like 250 years, so there might be something now, like But I remember maybe like 1976, they might have had something for the bicentennial, but of the Revolutionary War. But like, that's funny that you mentioned that. I don't remember one either. But also, like, it also proves that we're like why we're so bad at it. It was awful because we don't do it. You know, like North Korea and Russia, they do that shit every year. Like, they're rehearsed. They got
They
it.
have divisions dedicated to this
Yeah.
shit.
And this one was like fucking pathetic. And Trump was so upset. And I was like, dude, you're like, we spent $50 million. Meanwhile, like, everyone else was protesting against him. It's just one of those things where it's like, it sounds good in his head. And if he had people around him that can get through to him, they'd be like, dude, don't do this. Not even because it's inappropriate for America, but just it's a bad look for him and it won't do any good. No one showed up. That is definitely hypernormalization. We've talked about how, like, his Trump coin we're hypernormalizing because, like, you were not allowed to have a business conflicts. Like, you were not allowed to make money off other things. And like, even his Trump business he was supposed to give to his kids, he didn't. And maybe we'll discuss later, like, his whole cabinet is investing in Trump coins or coins, Bitcoins. And which is like, I don't know, right or wrong, but it's something that's never happened really before. It's in such a degree. So it's another hypernormalization.
I think it's relevant to this to the parade even because of one of the sponsors of the parade itself. As flabbergasting as the parade is, the fact that Coinbase, and I think we just missed it, is one of the main sponsors of the parade. Coinbase, the centralized exchange.
The president, if he's not for sale, he will listen. You can bribe your way to his ear. Everyone knows that. Qatar gave him a $400 million plane. And that's why he started talking to Iran. I mean, not why, but like, you know, Kushner got $2 billion from the Saudi Arabians to, like, as their investor, bank, whatever. He has no experience in it. And so there's just ways to get to him. And so, yeah, like we mentioned before, the 22 influencers that were invited to Mar-a-Lago to prop up his coin. And, you like if he's not president, they're not doing that. And so it's an investment to them. And like how much, if you know that you can, what better way to endear yourself to the president and possibly use his power for your own needs than sponsoring his military parade? Like, oh, those are the guys that gave me my military parade. Give them whatever the fuck they want. Like that's not so far-fetched with this guy, like that's what he kind of does. So but it's interesting, like I don't know, like for as a crypto outsider, but like doesn't this reek of shit from a crypto purist, if you consider yourself that?
I don't know what I consider myself, but in terms of, it's not surprising that Coinbase is an American corporate entity, and so it's not surprising that it's very much on the rise at the moment. Crypto is a narrative within the administration, so like certainly it's not a surprise. But what's interesting to examine, and it's something that I kind of come back to often, is when I first started paying attention to crypto, the narrative was self-sovereignty, self-custody, privacy, and being aware, like practicing, having good security, healthy security practices. And it has shifted so far away from that.
And a bit of a also like a bit of a revolution against the government, like a rebellion.
And there at least like a non-reliance on systems that not only are not under our control, like completely unauditable, and like if not manipulated, and and like there was nothing explicit in the Bitcoin white paper or in the Ethereum white paper about toppling or overthrowing or otherwise replacing any institutions. Like it's really like building on top of things that already exist. By the way, before I continue, folks, thank you for tuning in. This is Have a Take with Chair and Lake. If you are on Twitter, which most of you are, please, you could like and share and retweet and repost and the like. We can see your chat, so say hello in the chat if you are so inclined. We are live on Twitch and YouTube and X currently. I am Chair, that's Lake over there, and this is Have a Take with Chair and Lake. So the narrative has shifted so far from security, self-sovereignty, self-custody to, I mean, the predominant narrative probably still, I mean, like the pump fund meme coin narrative is probably still the most prevalent, like the hottest one, but certainly like, the president of the United States having his own coin, that coin's market cap is in the billions, in the almost 10 billion, I think, if it hasn't passed it. And there's an incredible amount of conflict of interest. It's very revealing. It's certainly very revealing, or it should be, to observe how they are operating. I can't say that he's acting any differently than anyone else would, but how public he goes about these.
Well, I mean, you could say that, but he's the only one that's president acting this way. And like the president takes an oath of office, and the oath of office is not to use his bully pulpit to enrich himself and throw parades and take $400 million planes. Oh, like also the hyper generalization, like which is so weird, is this like Tucker Carlson is now like, he was like Mr. Fox News, and now he's like #1 Iran backer, and like that is directly connected to who pays his bills, and the same people that paid his bills paid for that plane for Trump. And so you could see this whole media shift of like what traditional Republicanism is from like, I mean, Tucker Carlson was
and those people are the Qataris?
Are Qataris, yeah. Or well, not necessarily Qataris. Tucker is, he went to Russia to interview Putin. They paid his bills. He was on X for a while, and then Elon fired him because whatever. That's what Elon does. And so, but like the Qataris and Iran have a mutual interest in their proxy Hamas. So it's not like direct lines, but because Russia and Iran are partners, he is pro-Iran and interviewing, like drilling Ted Cruz about his support for Israel. And it's like, it was just a few years ago where like they would be palling around. Like he would be like the go-to guy to like support Israel. And now, and that, like whatever you want to do, support or not, I'm just saying his shift. And then Qatar has also their interest in Hamas. Hamas lived in Qatar, the senior leadership, and it's well known. And then so in that sense, there's this shift kind of towards this maybe Arab world or Muslim world or Shia controlled or Sunni, and now Hamas is Sunni, but they're proxies of Iran. Anyways, the point is we have this thing where now Tucker Carlson is a mouthpiece for Iran, and Trump was not involved really in the Israeli strike, but Trump is the biggest Israeli supporter, his words, ever. At the same time, he has kind of stopped Israel from attacking more because he wants his deal done, and maybe because he just accepted a $400 million bribe. And so all these things are happening at once, and it goes to are these opinions, are these shifts in tone and attitude genuine, or is it because someone is writing a check for them to do so? And then what happens if that's
Are you familiar with
what happens if that infiltrates the White House? That's basically my point.
Yeah, this is a creepy shot. What?
Hegseth, don't get me started on him. Yeah, go ahead.
What's his name? I don't know all these characters.
So Pete Hegseth was the guy who was a drunk, abusive to his female partners, and has kind of Nazi tattoos all over his body. And he's running national security, and he
looks like he's straight out of Succession. Like he's like that character from Succession that became president.
He's like the cousin, the idiot cousin who doesn't know how to do anything. And but anyways, he's the guy who like put out Yemen, like he put Yemen strikes like in coordinates and when they were going to do it on Signal.
Oh, is that okay? I remember that story.
And that actually burned an Israeli spy in Yemen, and that's why I'm thinking like, why is like that's another cause of friction. But anyway, like it's just a bunch of incompetence, and it's he was on Fox News, and he was a big Trump guy, and so now he's head of all of national security. But he's a known drunk. He's probably drinking now as we speak, and puts
allegedly.
Puts puts war plans on Signal and then invites a reporter on the same chat, and everyone finds out about it. And then they use emojis, we find out, to communicate like between each other about striking Yemen. And anyway, yeah, so that was him at that parade. And
emojis are a great way to obfuscate. They're hieroglyphics, right? They can be interpreted in many ways.
I got it. Yeah, I'll send you one. I'll send you the one. It was pretty funny. It's like a pound fist and like an explosion bomb. So,
like the mic drop, like a fist.
Yeah,
and then a mic, like the mic drop, and then the boom.
So, but yeah. So anyway, like yeah. So, but I did want to say just to about this parade. Just to go, they're saying during the parade, a few America 250 sponsors, because this is 250th anniversary of the revolution, including Coinbase, the cryptocurrency company that recently secured a new San Francisco office. This is from San Francisco Gate, SF Gate, Palantir, the data analysis company, Oracle. But yeah, it cost $45 million, and everyone is trying to show the president that, like, hey, I chipped in, and Why would they want to do that? I guess they're patriots, and maybe they'll think there's a reward of doing so.
Yeah, it's I wonder what it signals, and I wonder also what, like, we're gonna look back and realize this was the beginning of like X, but we don't know exactly what that is yet. I do like the lack of coordination and the seeming. I mean, certainly they were showing, like, I understand they're showing the progression of vehicles from the oldest, the older to the newer, but there is sort of like a lack of luster on how these how this was carried out. What I noticed was missing was the 50-foot long missiles that you typically see in the North Korean parades, in the Russian parades, etc. But that's like kind of tactful, maybe, like, not to show that. I also wonder, like, what does it signal when you're obviously not showing? Like, these are all like, these aren't even the last generation's warfare fight. These are things they were using in Vietnam. Like, the things that are actually current, like they wouldn't show.
This one is like when you go to the 4th of July high school parade. They come out and shit like this.
Like, I'm pretty sure you and I could build something.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, they don't know what to do for a parade. Like, they don't, like, some of the people in the army don't want to, like, put out, like, expensive things. But, like, also, why did this happen on that day? It was Trump's birthday, and it's just like,
was it coinciding with the Army's birthday too, or was it?
No, the Army's birthday is July 4th. Oh yeah, there is some fucking thing. You're right.
I thought that it was because it was like,
but it's not the Independence Day, and he did it because it's his birthday. I mean, no one. Why do a military parade? And it's like, okay, Trump gets rich. Trump gets his birthday celebrations. Trump goes to Mar-a-Lago. Trump gets his corporate influencers. I'm like, I just don't know why people feel like that trickles down. Like I mentioned, like trickles down to them, or why they'd be happy about it. Like they don't have to be pissed about it, but like, what are they celebrating? You know, I don't know. I guess America. To me, it's pretty obvious.
It's actually like I think it's a very good question, especially like, why did Trump get the type of support and like rabid support seemingly out of nowhere and so quickly, where he didn't really see he wasn't a threat at all in 2016, right up until the WikiLeaks release of the DNC emails, and that was probably the trigger of
DNC emails,
tide shifting.
Comey, Russia targeting, Russia troll farms.
I thought about this in the past, and like, what was the what was that inflection point, a turning point? And a lot of people at that time, as I remember it, were, and I'm one of them, the DNC email WikiLeaks drop was huge.
Which is so crazy when you consider Signalgate, which was so much worse and no repercussions, active in the middle. And it's like, that was top secret.
It's like equal.
Well, that was top. I mean, like Hillary's emails are like, she destroyed top secret information. She was reckless. I mean, James Comey, 5 days before the election, said she was reckless. I'm not going to charge her, and like flipped the election to Trump.
Oh, there it was. There was the Coinbase. Oh, sorry.
I mean, no. So I'm just saying, like, and so now we have like the hyper-normalization. Like, no one cares that, like, none of the people that were saying because of her emails and lock her up care that we just burned a spy in Yemen, put out recklessly on Signal, and it's not encrypted even, like not as encrypted as it should be. And that was like the whole reason she didn't, like, why they said lock her up. And one guy got fired over it, and it wasn't even the national security guy. So anyway, like, yeah, that inflection point, the inflection point could be Bernie Sanders running for the Democratic Party, and that kind of, fissure.
Yeah, and how that all went down. Yeah, that's a good point too.
But like, yeah, I just feel like at some point, his job is not, like, I'm not saying don't get rich or do whatever, but like, that's not, like, do people know what his job is, and do they care, and do they understand?
They know whose job is whose job. What?
Like what the president's job is.
Oh,
What he's supposed to do for the president, for the common person, for the individual, or are they
he's
just
the
going to be
chief
like,
executive of the nation.
but like he has to look out for people. He's like firing people, he's deporting people, he's throwing military parades for himself. He's making like, I don't know, millions and millions of dollars. I know. And it's just like, how does this help? How does this help America? This is like, if you're an enemy of America and you see this, are you like, oh yeah, America's on the top?
Sun Tzu shit happening? Is there some Sun Tzu thing happening here where it's like show weakness?
No, I think he just didn't have a clue that we just don't do this.
Like, I don't understand. Like, when planning this, we had that Jeep convertible thing happening, and now, just a random people mover, and then 50 yards, maybe more, maybe an entire football field. Nobody in the people mover. It might be self-driving. Is that what we're supposed to marvel at? That they got a 1956 model to be autonomous? No, I see a driver.
The tires look flat. And it looks like a pickup truck.
Listen, this is one of the worst executed things of all time. Unless, not only that, they like didn't paint over the crosswalks. Like that big stage was their main shot. That's their main shot, right? It's like, do we paint over the crosswalks?
No.
Do we paint over the crosswalks at least to be like, nah. All right.
And I think most telling is look at the crowd.
I don't think they let anybody. I think the whole crowd was just like, I don't think they let general admission.
I've seen more people at a college softball game than that. But crypto's all in. Like we mentioned before, Doge. That came from, that was a crypto coin, correct? And they became a company, an agency.
Well, I don't think that there's any affiliation. Like it's just the acronym fits, but.
Well, I mean that's where
Doge the token is not.
But that's where the name came. I'm just saying, like that's how it's seeping into our everyday and practical, and like so. Crypto's coming with a vengeance, but like we said, like it seems, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. It seems very. Too big to fail companies, governments, not necessarily empowering the people, enriching the people, like maybe the original people that started it in 2009 or whatever anticipated.
Yeah, I mean, the government I still think this is happening and it will happen, and I think that mass adoption and government adoption as it's happening now was not the original vision. And I would say the majority of the people that have built the structure up to this point are not aligned with that vision. But it became a powerful enough force, and the force that it rubs up against, the institutions that already exist, that already are in power, have recognized and understand the threat that it is. So they have deployed their own capital and resources into influencing, if not hostilely or covertly taking over elements of the crypto industry.
Yeah.
And that is what we're seeing that unfold. At the same time, we are seeing very strong narratives coming together and movements coming together from things like the nation or the network state movement, or like what people are calling like cipher states or cipher communities. Privacy has become, over the last few months, even a much bigger issue than it has. Like what I said earlier in the show about privacy not being a big enough focus, or not as big as it used to be in the crypto space. I think that's coming back. I see it coming back, and I'm sort of trying to do what I can to help the awareness of using protocols that do not use private information.
I think the haze of social media, where like before privacy was such a big deal, and then everyone was posting like their location and their lives and their kids, and
Yeah.
like all of a sudden, like I remember Louis C.K. This is a while ago, like 15 years ago, but he had this bit where like I remember when you crossed the bridge and they didn't want you taking the picture of you as you cross the bridge for the toll because that was a infringement of privacy, and now it's like I'm just going to post my exact location and where I'm staying, and like and like that was 15 years ago, and like we know that like even like there are pedophiles that are looking for kids online, and parents still post their kids' pictures, and I just
it's really amazing to me. Yeah, like
to me it's like what
some people don't realize like at all, like
but even if there were they know there's a chance. It's like
I think people like honestly, thankfully, some people haven't been exposed to the evil truths of this world, and don't think about it.
Yeah. So
like
anyway,
but yeah.
I'm just saying like yes, but I think you're right. I think like we're like people are like now that kind of like it's kind of more commonplace and it's not so special. Social media, if not passe, in a lot of ways, like they're just yeah, I think the privacy, I mean, not only the privacy, but also like the ability to not be tracked and not, you know, like
it's a fundamental human right that humanity might have lost already without us even realizing it. But the right to have a private conversation is a fundamental human right, but no one has been looking out for it, and it might be gone already. So what we can do, like what people can choose to do now, is be thoughtful about the information that they choose to share. That the information that you can control at this point, you should be thoughtful about how you are limiting your exposure, and maybe more importantly, using protocols and applications that do guard your privacy. And there are choices out there for people to use. And like, I'm not someone who is anonymous in any real way, but there's still things that I like to do privacy.
I mean, your real name
in a private way.
Your real name is Chair, so.
Indeed, and funny enough, my middle name.
That's funny enough. My name as well. Lake is also my name, but we'll not get into that. I just did want to say, like, and just to when I was saying, like, did Bitcoin infiltrate the White House, or did coin? Like, you know, I'm not always great with the terms, but here are some people in his cabinet who own money in Bitcoin. Vice President J.D. Vance, between $250,000 and $500,000. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., head of health, even though his brain was eaten by a.
This is Bitcoin that they hold, or his own coin?
I think this is just who owns Bitcoin. I think they're just Bitcoin worth. Yeah, I don't think it's Trump coin. He owns anywhere from 1 to 5 million. Sean Duffy, Transportation Secretary, owns 500,000 to 1 million. I don't know why they can't be accurate, but whatever. The U.S. Attorney General, 158,000 to 470,000. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, 250 to 500,000. Tulsi Gabbard, 33 to 145,000. She still can't get hair dye. Kash Patel, 51,000 to 115,000.
Oh, shot at Shay. Listen, as someone who has gray hair coming in, man. Like, listen, it's just something that happens.
Well, then let it go gray. Then let it go gray. She's.
Is she? What does she look like? I'm not even like. Does she have gray hair?
She has like these gray streaks. White House Secretary.
Pretty hot.
She in her day she was attractive for sure. Director West Vogt, 15th. So we have the FBI, we have the Secretary of Health, of Transportation, of National Security, the Vice President. The President has $53 million, by the way. Trump launched
Bitcoin.
And that's just his financial disclosure. It's probably a lot more. Yeah. So yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily an issue at all that any politician holds Bitcoin. If those numbers were for Trump coin, I think it would be a lot more alarming.
No, I'm just saying like, yeah. I'm not even saying it's wrong or immoral. I'm saying like if they all have a stake in Bitcoin, are they compromised? And they're all at the highest levels of administration. Are they compromised to lobbying, to get enriched and stuff like that? And that's why you always wanted to separate the money, and you didn't want them to have, and there used to be stocks, because they would get stock information first, and then these politicians would short the market, and they would be really misbehaving. That's why we had these rules and regulations, and Trump just said we don't need any of that.
Well,
got rid of all
do
the
we though? Because hasn't the story for a while now been how well our congressmen seem to be doing in the
right?
stock
Yeah. We hyper normalized that too, and now we're even going the next step. Yeah, for sure.
Has it ever been regulated? I would say does it?
Oh yeah, there was a thing with McCain in the 80s. He almost got kicked out of Congress. We used to care a bit. There was always we're not naive. People are always bought and lobbyists and stuff. But since Bush with the lobbyists, and he allowed he took the reins off, and you can just spend unlimited money. And there was a whole other thing campaign finance reform got thrown out the window. And Elon, how much money did he give Trump? $200 million for his campaign, and then he gets to be an unelected official that cuts 2,000 jobs. So it's how is that? Does he get that just by being Elon Musk, or because he gave $200 million? Are these people going to make it easier for nefarious actions to happen in the cryptoverse because it might enhance their pocket? Or they might, because they have holdings.
Yeah, but I don't think it increases the I don't think it has increased the corrupt.
Well, right now,
humans,
like Coinbase, right now.
Yeah.
If they want something from Donald Trump, don't you think that they have a better chance after putting money into that parade?
Yes, but I think there are probably, if they obviously they knew they were taking an overt action and not a covert action.
Oh yeah, I mean, Amazon has done it, Apple's done it, they've all done it. Amazon is owned by Jeff Bezos. Washington Post, for their whole 50 years, have always endorsed the president. They were going to endorse Kamala, and last second they pulled the endorsement because Bezos thought Trump was going to win, and he didn't want to piss him off. So yeah, they're all puckering up because they know that Trump has a shit list, and if you're on it, it's not good. So that's what I'm saying. Okay, that's one. Now everyone has a stake. Now everyone could invest in the same coin. Now everyone, and it's so unregulated, and so it just, yeah, you're right. I agree. It's just because they have that money doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad. But when the whole cabinet of every position holds a stake in the same kind of universe or coin, it opens themselves up to being compromised. And I think we've seen it, but I mean,
yeah, one thing that what is most concerning to me is the fact that all of these now Congress, I think by and large, all politicians, right, all the way up to the heads of state of the most powerful nations, are low level, at best mid management level people in the grand scheme of the machine or game that's at play.
What do you like Illuminati?
I mean, I don't I would say that there are, and there are a lot of known people that are incredibly wealthy that wield an incredible amount of power that are not politicians or heads of state, or right. And I don't want to point to it I don't like that word anymore, because it's become so cliche, and I think it's gone the way of the term conspiracy theory and all the where it's been overused and misapplied and blah blah. But when you think about well, anyway, I would say these figures are known. And so, what was my point? So
you're saying that these nation state leaders are basically CEOs for
right, and there's a board above them. There's a board that dictates what the actual moves are going to be. The fact that Bitcoin, this was my point. So Bitcoin underwent something called the block size wars around 2016,
Mhm.
2017. And I think we covered this on an earlier show. By the way, you are watching Have a Take with Chair and Lake. You are sitting at Chair's table. Please like and retweet if you're watching on Twitter, or subscribe and follow wherever you might be. We are live on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. So because these more powerful and more powerful entities, I saw a graph somewhere like Iran holds hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin. The United States holds hundreds of thousands. All of these states now have state reserves of Bitcoin,
Yeah.
which means that they have an increasing voice in the governance of Bitcoin by way of, at the end of the day, Bitcoin is defined by which software the miners are running. Whatever version of the software they are running and whatever that software dictates is what they're running. So the reason that Bitcoin has a 21 million token coin hard cap is because that is what the software dictates.
Mhm.
But if a hard fork is proposed and a majority of miners, or even enough miners, it doesn't even have to be a majority, but just enough miners decide that we're going to increase the maximum supply of Bitcoin, for instance,
Yeah.
that can happen. And people have solidified around the meme of 21 million Bitcoin and not a
Right.
drop more. But that absolutely can change, and is probably the biggest threat to Bitcoin that I think is the least talked about at this point, in that these institutional players will have a seat at the mining consensus table. And then what do you do when they propose that the hard cap should be increased to 50 million?
So one, I think because I speak for the crypto novices, for those that don't know, there is a finite number of coins. It's not infinite. They can't just print money. And like, that's something that maybe people don't like.
And the printing ends in 24, like the creation, or 2040. The creation of new Bitcoin will end in 2040.
Right. And so like, that's why the value is so like high usually and stuff like that. And like, I think for someone that's a novice, you just assume that it works like a regular currency. But I think the fact that there's a finite, and then you mentioned the size wars and all that. I like that. I think that's cool. I don't know how good, like I'm not an economist, but I do kind of like that aspect, and I thought that was really interesting. But also, like to your other point, like Bitcoin is like helping Iran, for example. Like Iran invested a lot of money in Bitcoin because you couldn't trace it, and so they could avoid sanctions and store money that way. So like they are kind of indebted to. It's like it's now Bitcoin can maybe, like I said, like they have parades. They're hiding money for different regimes. That makes them very powerful, and that makes their interests priority for many nations as well.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm saying, like if all the cabinet has coins, and Iran has coins, and Trump has coins, and you can't track them, and like who?
You can though.
But I'm saying, like, we can't. Well, not all the 100 million or something. You know, like right now it's like Robert F. Kennedy is 1 to 5 million. Like, yeah, you can take the time, but what I'm saying is like, we don't know. Are they compromised? Who's paying for them? That's why when like the Tucker Carlson went such hard shift from, conservative Republican, traditionalist to this fucking Russian asset, pro-Iran, pro-Palestinian guy. And it's just because someone else Murdoch signed his check, and now Putin signs his check. And it's that simple. And it's like, I think the integrity, we can't assume that someone like Pete Hegseth has tons of integrity, so doesn't he just look like someone who has a ton of integrity? I mean, RFK Jr. had half his brain eaten by a worm.
Half?
Well, I say half, but a decent amount. And he fired all the vaccine guys. He's doing all this. That's ideology. But what if now, like, someone else can say, hey, if you do this and this and this, and you can get this much money in Bitcoin, and no one will find out, or he thinks no one will find out, then who knows what they'll do. And so I'm saying, it's good to separate business and governance and profit. And I think back to your original hypernormalization, we've completely just allowed politicians to capitalize on their position of power. And it's an elected position. And like even Doge, Elon Musk, was unelected, and he fired 2,000 people because he gave $200 million to Trump's campaign. I mean,
Do
I
you
don't
believe
think
in the integrity of elections, like globally? Not this isn't the election was stolen in 2020 thing, but like just in general. Do you subscribe to the integrity of the outcomes of elections? I don't know if I do.
I
But
think
that's a whole other can of worms.
I think I did. Well, integrity of elections, as in like in 2000, Bush used his levers of power to take the election after losing, but like the vote counts, they tried like the hanging Chad, like that was a legal thing that was delegated. The counts were not made up. Do I think that like 2020 was fine? Now Trump had such distrust from 2020 that if someone said Trump cheated in 2024, it's just going to be dismissed because he
my distrust of the election process is
not saying he did,
rooted
but I don't think he did actually, just for that.
No,
I'm just saying like
but
it's
my point is I remember distinctly I was in 8th grade. I was about 13 years old when the Florida hanging Chad year 2000 election fiasco was happening.
The Florida,
and I was 12. I was 12 even.
I wasn't even born yet, but yeah, go ahead.
That is you're 22. That is when I first questioned the process at all, and it became like when you think about the Kennedy presidential election, when allegedly Joe Kennedy, his father, bought the Illinois contingency, and that is why he beat Nixon and became president. So there's like well-documented, well-covered instances of election fraud.
The thing about Florida,
our history from far back.
The thing about Florida, which is emblematic now, about 2000, was the Supreme Court dropped the ball so hard, and Scalia was such a partisan, and like the judges are never partisan, and they just gave Bush the election on a technicality, basically. And now the Supreme Court is completely compromised. It's been that way. Check out the Federalist Society. They're not even, it's an open secret. And I mean, we have judges accepting bribes like crazy, and it's documented. So there's no checks and balances. All the institutions are compromised. And like when they said this might be the last election of our lifetime, that's what they're. When you say, do I believe the integrity? Like that's what we're saying. Or like maybe I think it was, but in the future, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, unless, but what's interesting is that one thing that blockchain technology provides us is a cryptographically secure and, more importantly, provable, and maybe just as importantly, provable way of having election integrity while providing everyone the opportunity.
Well, I don't understand. Yeah, elaborate.
So you have something, because all of the math and logic on, let's say if something like this would happen, it would probably happen on Ethereum or some sort of EVM chain, because you can, let's say, so there's a smart contract. The smart contract is just it's a computer program, right? And the computer program has rules and can carry out certain actions. But essentially, it's like, to keep it super simple, there are two candidates, and anyone that has, if we're going by the U.S., then you have to be a U.S. citizen to vote, that's over 18, that isn't a felon, that, there's these qualifications that you have, right?
Yeah.
So you would need a system that validates these things, and they don't even have to be on chain, but in order for this final thing to happen, right, and for all of these things to happen, then you need tying the identity to the address, right, and then all of the other qualifications. So assuming that you have that, which is not too difficult of a thing, people are working on identity, they're working on background, like all of the on-chain identity stuff, and tying real-world assets and real-world like real-world things to the blockchain. It's already happening. So all these things they're all going to be feasible even by Probably not by the next presidential election, but certainly by 32.
Well, that was like Trump's thing was Dominion voters. They got the call wrong. Dead people voted. There turned out to be 2 people that were dead that voted, and they voted for Trump. But my point, I think the second point to that is, yeah, that's one solution to make sure that everyone who voted is an American, alive, of age, didn't double vote. But, there's this whole other thing of gerrymandering and the Electoral College and representative democracy. And like I said, the Supreme Court. So like, they're not, we could be way ahead. They're doing things on purpose to not let people vote. So I think if we can use what you said and take the power and just make it so simple that a politician can't fuck it up, that'd be great also. But that is the blockchain I'm learning. So I did want to plug, if I may. So I was working a lot on this book that Cher was helping me with, or is helping me with. I'm getting, like I said, there's going to be a crypto angle. I'm getting to that part now, and so that's kind of exciting, and I'm learning a lot, and I'm Cher will show how inaccurate I am, but I think by writing it, I'm getting there. But that will be the volume 3 of the Tailored in Blood series. And now on Amazon, today, tomorrow, Sunday, and Monday, you can get Morning Mist, not this one. It's okay. So but you could show them you can click on that Tailored in Blood series. There it is. And you can get it for free. Then you can read the first one that you just saw, Chair Show. But this one's for free this weekend. And if you scroll down a bit, I think we go to the rankings. I think we're go down a little more. Yeah, so we are 20 up. Sorry. Up. Right there, stop. So we are 29 in noir crime. So
nice.
if the audience can get a few free orders, I can move up to top 20. Maybe one of my books was top 5. I'm trying to beat that record. And then, if you download it, I like to say give an honest 5-star review, but in all seriousness, whatever review you think would be appreciated. If it's 1 star, just DM me and don't put it on. I still appreciate the criticism, but I don't need 1 stars, but 2 stars and up would be great. And maybe if you give us a review, not only will we read it on air, you can DM me or Cher, and we will have you on for at least 90 seconds. So I think that's a win-win. And if I get to top 5 noir this weekend, there's going to be a big Cher and Lake celebration. TBD. So just follow Cher's lead there. And it's exciting. The second one turned out pretty good. There's this character named Avon Mist. Might resemble an eccentric billionaire Silicon Valley type. All is based in San Francisco. And I know Cher read the first one, and he's reading the second one this weekend. He's going to plow through the 150 pages that it is. And then the third one.
I'm rather certain that I read the draft of the.
Oh, that's right. You did read
of this. Yeah, I don't know how much it has changed since that draft, but I am almost positive I read the entirety of this already.
Yeah,
I need to verify.
And an honest 5-star review. But yeah, and the third one will be out this year. And there's a character that may or may not be very lightly based on one of the hosts here. So very lightly based, but inspired by maybe some aspects. And so that's great. Morning Mist, Tailored in Blood, Oregon. Check it out. And if you leave a review, you can be our honored guest.
Now, folks, and please follow Lake at dude_lightlake on Twitter. I am at very comfy. You see our names right there on the screens. Please give us a follow. We do appreciate you sharing the show on the timeline. And thanks for sticking with us. We have been keeping rather regular, at least once a week. We are bringing you to the table. So thank you for taking your seat. And I look forward to keeping this up, if not even giving the people a little bit more of us.
Yeah. Hey, it's summer break. So let's keep it grooving. I mean, I don't know where I'm going with the summer thing, but it's summer and we should continue.
Thank you very much, Lake, for another round of Have a Take. I am Chair.
I'm
That is Lake. You are you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Subscribe, follow, like, and share, and look out for our next show. Until then, thank you very much, and mahalo.
No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand for pork. Tweets aren't pork. We vote with our pork here. No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand.